first of all, let's talk about earnings. You guys missed on EPS. You're adding 2.3 million customers, but for the investors who want to see profit growth, what do you have to say to them?
Yeah, Emily, I can't predict day-to-day stock price. I can just tell you that what we announced today from the NASDAQ was one of the most complete quarters, completely in line with what we've been trying to do as a company. You mentioned the 2.3 million net customer additions, 1.1 million branded postpaid customers for fifth quarter in a row over a million, 843,000 postpaid phone ads, which is about as many as AT&T lost this quarter, 595,000 prepaid ads, and 18 basis point decline in churn, which is the biggest we've had, and 42% increase year over year in adjusted EBITDA, cash flow of $411 million, which is normalized to $487 million, which was a tremendous result, and $138 million worth of positive net income, both of which we anticipate will continue. So I'm really pleased with the overall results of the company.
Okay, but what about profit? I mean, what do you have to say to investors who, there's analysts out there saying this is the first disappointment from T-Mobile in a while?
Yeah, again, analyst expectations isn't something that I think things will settle down, Emily. What we did is we actually increased the amount of growth that we forecast for this year and kept our adjusted EBITDA guidance the same. Our service revenue growth was 11% year over year. I think there's a short-term issue where people have misinterpreted last quarter's tax rate as a jump-off point, and now it's normalized, and then one-time Metro PCS decommissioning cost. But the net income and the earnings per share of 15 cents, which we announced, is directly in line with what we expect to do and will continue to do. And they're quite good results, and I think as people settle in, they'll understand that they are.
So let's talk about these 2.3 million new customers. Where are they coming from? Are they coming from AT&T?
Yeah, yes, yes, and yes. Okay, so very important, Emily, is one of the big things we all track is postpaid porting ratios. And for Q3, we were 1.8 to 1. At 1.33 against Verizon, we were 2 to 1 against AT&T and 2.1 with Sprint, which means we were gaining against all of them. That's 10 quarters in a row positive against the industry, 7 quarters in a row positive against everybody, and 9 quarters in a row over 2 to 1 with Sprint. And the last 7 days, to keep you up to date, it's up to 1.9 to 1. AT&T's up to 2.25 to 1. Sprint's about the same, and Verizon's 1.44. So we continue to take customers from everybody. But as you saw with AT&T's results, they clearly are with the largest donator at this point in time.
So, as you know, John, I am a new customer. I'm a new T-Mobile customer, and I came from Verizon. 3 weeks into my new T-Mobile membership, my data was hacked at T-Mobile via Experian. I got a letter in the mail saying I was one of those 15 million people. So my question to you is, what went wrong there? And what are you going to do about it? That's different from what every other CEO has done.
Well, I think, Emily, I think I've already done something different than any CEO's ever done. Obviously, the issue that took place with Experian, where there was a breach and 15 million people, yourself included, were potentially impacted. But what we did is we immediately went out
Are you saying potentially, as in maybe I wasn't hacked? Because I did get a letter in the mail notifying me about this breach.
I think you got a letter from Experian explaining to you that you are one of 15 million customers whose data may have been impacted, and it's best to take all precautions and join up with the free service of credit monitoring, that we offer. And so far, I think, all customers have been notified. And I think that's the most important piece, which is immediately, openly, and honestly tell everybody the situation. And as you know, these kind of issues are a major issue in the U.S. and worldwide. But I think the leadership and transparency is one. If I could just say also, Emily, thank you for being a customer. And as a customer, I want to tell you that I announced today we now have 300 million POPs of LTE. And in this year of 2015, 1 million square miles that were not LTE last year will be this year, including 175 million already of 700 band LTE, which is low band. So I hope you, as well as everybody else, are seeing a phenomenal change in increase in the depth and penetration of your coverage and service.
Okay, we're going to talk about the network in one moment, but first on this Experian thing, as I understand it, there are systems, they may be more expensive, they may take time to upgrade. Are you guys working on upgrading to any of those systems internally that might prevent another breach like this down the line?
Yeah, I think I think this is a significant oversimplification. This was a database maintained by a subsidiary of Experian with tremendous precaution applied by us as well as Experian. And, you know, there was a breach of some sort that is still being completely understood and investigated by authorities. And yes, we, as well as every other major company in the world, are investing heavily in all forms of protection against these kind of things ever happening again. And there's a lot of legislation and follow-on. It's a major issue, and we are taking tremendous precautions to protect customers like yourself, Emily.
Okay, so let's talk about the network. I will say that, you know, the network was good enough for me to switch. Anecdotally, you know, I do still have some problems with it, some dropped calls, you know, depending on where I am. So, you know, what's in it for me in terms of the longer term? A year from now, 2 years from now, why should I remain a T-Mobile customer? How much better is the network going to be?
Yeah, and first of all, Emily, I don't want to assess whether the people are actually hanging up on you, whether or not they're dropped calls. But kidding aside, this year, with 1 million square miles of LTE, so you can expect coverage everywhere. We have 175 million so far, 190 million by the end of the year, low-band spectrum, which moves 2 times as far and is 4 times stronger in building. We've actually signed 4 more agreements for 20 million more pops of LTE, which will be the 700, which will deploy quickly. And we've made our intent to participate in the low-band auction in Q1 known. So continued deployment of low-band spectrum and broader coverage. You can expect to have what you already have, which is the fastest 4G LTE in the U.S., but also the fastest growing network in the United States. And that's my commitment to you and the rest of the customers.